The tag team is back again. Chief Meteorologist Chris Holcomb has joined us here in the studio along with meteorologist Chesley McNeil. You know, you guys have a lot of weight on you, but you are ultra prepared.
Yeah, shoulders are broad. We've been through this a time or two.
We have. And Chesley, here it is. You know, we have been talking about this for days. On Monday night, we issued the weather impact alert. And a lot of people are like, it's not going to happen. It is going to happen. But here we are now within hours of this event that's going to take place. And you have been working really hard. The 11 Alive Weather Impact team has been working really hard to really be consistent with our message. I know there's a lot of stuff out there floating around on social media.
Absolutely.
And, you know, we've been trying really hard to be consistent with our message here. And the way things are turning out that we're seeing so far, this is going to be an event. It's going to be a bigger event for some people, not as much of an event for other people on the south side. And so that's where we're really working really hard on that messaging of letting people know where it's going to be worse. And here in Metro Atlanta, we are going to be experiencing some ice.
Absolutely. We work with the information that we have. And earlier in the week, we were looking at the ice being spread out all of North Georgia. But as we got closer, it started honing in. And so we began bringing you and talking about really the northeastern corridor of our state. And so that's where it looks like the higher totals will be, but that doesn't negate the fact that lower totals will cause problems from the metro area and a little bit further to the south.
And I think while we've been following this storm, we've been very transparent with telling people, you know, watch every day.
Oh, yeah.
Because that message is going to change. And it's really been interesting watching these models over the past few days, how you said, you know, one model was saying one thing, another model was saying another. And as meteorologists, you and I know that those models aren't the gospel. And it's our job to watch those models and watch the trends and then tell you what we think is going to happen from that. And saying that we hope these models will start coming together. And in the past 24 hours, really 36 to 24 hours, those models have been coming together, highlighting that area north and east, getting the worst of the activity here, but still some of it here in Metro Atlanta too. Absolutely,
and there's still some questions, right? We've been talking about the wedge, explaining what that is, whether or not it'll erode quickly, whether or not it'll hold on. All that will play a role in how much we receive as far as freezing rain today and how much that ice will accumulate.
And Chesley and I have been doing this a long time. Here in the southeast, the wedge, forecasting that is one of our biggest forecasting challenges.
The most difficult.
So whenever people ask me what is the hardest thing to forecast, number one, the wedge, well, just numerous things, but the wedge and winter weather.
Oh, man.
And this is the wedge mixing with winter weather, which makes it even more difficult.
Double hard,
but
absolutely.
The models are getting a better handle on how to handle the wedge. The big question for us is going to be on Sunday. The models don't often recognize when the wedge is going to leave. And the models often say it's going to get scoured out in 24 hours, but then in reality it holds on a little bit longer. So this is where it's going to be really tricky on Sunday, that if this warmer air Sunday afternoon is going to be able to move up into our area on Sunday to get us above freezing for a period, maybe multiple hours there. And even though we don't think that would wipe away all of the ice, it would at least help to stop the thickening of the ice with the additional rain that's going to be coming down. So that's the big question. But timing has been pretty much on par. We haven't really changed our timing that much. It's been pretty much, we've been thinking it's going to be starting here in Metro Atlanta later on this evening, but northeast and northeast Georgia and North Georgia starting most likely by mid-afternoon.
We already saw some flurries and some sleet up in the far northwestern areas.
On that onset.
And it has stopped, and then more of that will start to come back. So mainly up to the north is where you're going to see that first. But walk us through this, Chris. You're talking about temperatures already in the 40s, and they'll probably stay that way through about 3 o'clock or so.
I think so. And you know, we've been telling people too that the high temperature today was this morning. And we're going to see these temperatures gradually falling here through the day. So we have those 40s over us right now. And Chesley, this is the wedge here. By tonight, the wedge is that shallow layer of cold air at the surface coming in from the north and east. And that's what you see here. So at the same time, we're watching the cold air coming in from the northeast like this, dropping down this way. Then we have moisture to the south and west coming this way, and that rides up and over this shallow layer of cold air, and that's where we get that freezing rain. And so overnight, look at Chesley, how that's going to be entrenched over us.
And pretty far down to the south. And so as that moisture comes in, you're talking about this area right in here receiving that freezing rain, and that's for a prolonged period of time. You're talking about overnight tonight going into Sunday morning, we'll be dealing with this ice, and that's going to lead to the accumulations. Now, it's going to last longer, mainly up here to the north and east, which is why we're saying the totals up there are going to be a little higher.
And this is at 4:30 in the morning. So when I've been telling people all along, and I think you have been too, here in Metro Atlanta, I want you to be hunkered down before sunset.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it may not start right at sunset, but to be safe, I want everybody to be in their place where they're going to be over the weekend by sunset, because things are going to be deteriorating overnight. And this cold air intrusion will be with us midnight. This is at 4:30 in the morning. It's going to be with us still in the early morning hours tomorrow.
Right.
And then this is the big question mark. This is at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday. Whether or not this warm air is going to be able to overtake this cold air, which is that wedge.
Right, and this would be leading to rain. We may see a little bit of mixing here in the metro area first, and then it may change over to all rain if the warm air makes its way further off to the north. Certainly down here to the south, we'll see that warming taking place, where we could even see some thunderstorm activity down to the south. Can you believe that?
Yeah, down in central and south Georgia, they have a level 1 risk.
Right.
In South Georgia for thunderstorms as that system moves through. But we've got the wedge in dealing with winter weather that we're going to be dealing with here. So watch here going through the day on Sunday how that warmer air is going to be pretty much near us and maybe above freezing for multiple hours. That I don't think will get rid of everything, but it might at least help it a little bit. And even in Northeast Georgia, they may not get above freezing very long at all.
So this area right in here could stay that way. So as long as the moisture is around, it's coming down as freezing rain. Now the good news is that it should be ending in our area by Sunday night. So at least the precipitation will be gone, but it's what's coming in after that that will make the impacts linger on.
Another surge of colder air coming in Sunday night and into Monday. So even though, as Chesley said, the precip is going to end on Sunday late afternoon and into the evening, it's going to be dry air and no extra precip coming down, so no additional freezing rain or anything happening. But whatever is still on the ground from Sunday night and may have changed into watery or not totally frozen here in the metro area, but whatever is on the ground here Sunday night and into Monday, when this comes in, it is going to turn slick again.
And I think this could be the worst part. I think people have a misconception of freezing rain. We talk about the ice, right? But it comes down as rain, so it just feels like it's raining on the outside. But when it hits a surface, especially an elevated surface, that's when it starts to glaze over, freeze, and then it starts to pile up on us. If we're still continually getting that as we head through the overnight. So you really will start to feel the effects from this on Monday, even into Tuesday, and could linger into the rest of the week because of those trees toppling over, which is going to happen after the precipitation is gone, right? Because it weighs down the trees and the winds, right? The wind's picking up.
We're talking about wind gusts 20 to 30 miles an hour, maybe some gusts up to 35. So if you have a tree that is coated in ice at 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 inch, greater than a 1/2 inch, that weighs down that tree so much, and then add wind, that would bring down branches, that would bring down trees, and of course that lands on power lines, and that's when you have an interesting situation there. I'm glad you mentioned that again about the freezing rain, how it's liquid in the air. Now I can hear people now looking out the window, 9, 10, 11 o'clock, and looking out saying, oh, this is just rain. Well, it is rain in the air, but when it splats on the ground, that's when it spreads out and freezes and causes that glaze of ice. Now, sleet, which we don't expect here. I know there was a little bit of sleet this morning in North Georgia in the onset. That would be pellets, and ice pellets would bounce on your windshield or hood or on the ground. But you'll see raindrops just splatting on the ground, but it's when they hit that surface, elevated surfaces, the ground, the roads, your back deck, the trees, it turns into ice, and that's what freezing rain is.
All right, so you got to be on the lookout, folks.